Hi, welcome back to the Gemara in Gittin, Daf Amid Vav Amid Bet. Ibailahu, they asked a question, a halachic question. Ki hitkin Hillel, prusbul, l'dzari hu detakin, o zama l'dzari alma nami takin. When Hillel amended the law to include prusbul, l'dzari hu detakin, did he institute this amendment for his generation, or perhaps for all generations, le'olam, right, going forward, for all generations, he also amended it. L'may nafkamina. What practical difference does it make? What halachic difference is there? I'm going to say that all of this is a question. Maybe you would call it a dilemma. And l'may nafkamina is a challenge. It challenges the question. Why does it matter, right? Pushing back against the question. L'vitulei. The answer is, it matters for nullifying it. It matters if you want to nullify it. So I would say that's the solution to the challenge, or the resolution to the challenge. If you look at Rashi Levatule, he explains what that means. Levatule lahoshiv beitin I ichshor dare shelo yehu monim lahalvot levatel takanat hillel shafilo katav prosbul yishamet. Maybe you'd want to nullify this amendment. Maybe you'd want to get rid of prosbul. Maybe you'd want to have a beitin, to seat a beitin, lahoshiv beitin. And if the generation is fit, ichshor is like kasher. If the generation is fit, maybe they won't refrain from lending one another money. And so then you could get rid of the amendment, and you could get rid of prosbul and say that even if there is prosbul, the debts still are canceled out. Again, if you were to have a generation that wouldn't refrain from lending money. And this is interesting given the last homework that we had in the conversation about whether or not prosbul was inevitable or whether people could ever possibly keep Shemitah without prosbul. This understanding of the Gemara, and really this sugya, seems to indicate we could maybe imagine a time when people wouldn't need prosbul, and we want to know, could we get rid of the takana in that case? So that's the nafkamina, and now we've solved what the nafkamina is, so we can go back to the overall question or dilemma. Iyamart l'dzari hu tetakin, mivatlinan lai. Ella iyamart l'dzari alma nami takin, ha'ein beitin yachol levatel divrei beitin chavero, ella im ken gadol himenu b'chochma v'minyan. If you say, that's actually a further explanation of this answer. If you were to say that the takana is only for his generation, then you can be mevatel it, right? Then it no longer exists. Ela iyamart l'dari almanami takin. But if you were to say that this is actually forever, that he meant the takana to be forever, behold, but, challenge word, ein beitin, a beitin cannot nullify the words of a different beitin unless it is greater than the first beitin in wisdom and size. And the implication is that we would not today, or even they in the time of the Gemara, wouldn't have a beitin as big and as great as Hillel's beitin, as the original Hillel's beitin. So again, I misspoke before, but this is the question, this is the challenge, and this is all the response to the challenge. So now we're getting back to the original question, which is mai. This mai goes back to the ibailahu. Right, so which is it? Was it temporary or was it permanent? Tashma, come in here. This presents a solution, a source that's going to give us a solution. I'm going to do it this way. To Amar Shmuel, come in here. Shmuel said, Lo katvinan prusbul, ela ibebeidina desura, ibebeidina denaharda. You can't write a prosbul except in the beitin of Surah or in the beitin of Naharda. Two major, big, important batei din that Shmuel knew about from his life. The Isal Gadaycha Ladari Alma Nami Takin, Bashar Beidina Nami Lichtavu. And if you were to think that Hillel's takana was meant to last forever, then you should also be able to write this prosbul in other batei din. In other words, the fact that Shmuel says it only works in these two batei din implies maybe that he thought that it was only a temporary takana. So I'm going to say all of this is really the response or the answer. If you want, you could indicate in some way that this is really the proof text, and the other is the explanation. Yeah, I'll underline that, right? And this is the explanation of the proof text. But that answer gets rejected. Dilma kitakin Hillel l'zari alma kegon beidina didei ucharav ami v'rav asi da'alime lafku uyememona. Maybe, perhaps, when Hillel instituted his takana, it was for all generations, it was for all time, but he instituted it in batei din like his. Didei is his. And like Rav Ami and Rav Asi, and like the batei din of Rav Ami and Rav Asi, Da'alime, who have the strength, they are strong to be able to reappropriate money or move money around. So in other words, Shmuel's statement is not a conclusive proof. Shmuel said only certain batei din can do it. That doesn't mean that it's limited by time. It might just be limited by the type of beit din, aval kulei alma lo, but not everyone, right? Not all batei din could do it, even in Hillel's time. But he was in fact making a takana l'dorot, a takana forever. So that's the rejection. Here's another answer. Tashma, de'amar Shmuel, ha prosbola ulbana dezayanehu. I aisher chayel avtalina. Shmuel said, this prosbul is like an insult to the dayanim. If I were strong enough, I would get rid of it. I think that's what Shmuel apparently said at some point. Avtalina, question mark, exclamation point. How could he say that he would nullify it? Isn't it the case, veha is the challenge word, isn't it the case that a beit din can't nullify the words of another beit din unless it's greater than the first beit din in size and in wisdom and size? So how could he say he would overturn it? Hachika amar. Now here's what he really said. I aishar chayel yoter mehillel avtalina. If I were stronger than Hillel, then I would overturn it. So it seems like the fact that he thinks that he wants to overturn it implies that it was not made for all times. But then we wind up saying no, right? He wishes that he could be stronger so that he could overturn it. But he's not. So in other words, he does think it's for all times. But it's actually, he just wishes that he were strong enough to overturn it. So that answer also does not work out. For Rav Nachman Amar, Rav Nachman says, Akaimena. Rav Nachman has like a similar version of Shmuel's statement, but he says, I would like to, if I had the strength, if I ever became greater than Hillel or as great, I would like to uphold the prosbul. Akaimena, question mark, exclamation point. Hamekam. What do you mean you would uphold it? It's already upheld. It doesn't need any more upholding from you, Rav Nachman. Mekan Vakai. It's alive and well. So this is, I'm going to say that Rav Nachman's is a statement. It sort of complements what Shmuel said. It's an additional piece of information. This is a challenge to what Rav Nachman says. And then the response is, Hachikamar. Now here's what he really said. Here's what Rav Nachman really said. Ema bein milta. De'afal gav delo katuv k'katuv dami. I would not that I would uphold it, it doesn't need me, but I would say something about it. I would do something about the prosbul, such that even if it's not written, it's like it's written. And Rashi explains this idea here. Ema be milta oshiv beitin ve'atkin destam malvin yehu kimosrin sharotehen lebeitin. I would set up a beitin, I would seat a beitin, and I would make a takana that a stam malvet, a alone, even without any stipulations, even without any additional documentation, it would be as though the shtar were given over to beitin. The afal gav de lo katav, nihave kimosha katav. And even though they didn't actually write the prosbul, it would be as though it were written. In other words, Rav Nachman would take prosbul a step further and say you don't even have to write it. It's just built in. It's just understood in every loan. And that would be completely in the opposite direction from getting rid of it. In a sense, right, that would actually strengthen prosbul. I mean, you wouldn't have to write the prosbul anymore, but it would be there anyway, and it would be in effect. Okay, we'll stop here.